21 straight strikes.
Downswing, and that's 8 Ks for Masterson. He's Iron Mike right now throwing strikes. He has struck out 8. He is now retired 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Justin Masterson Show. I'm happy to be here. I'm Justin Masterson, but of course I'm not by myself. I got my guy, Mr. Matthew Zappasodi is back in the house.
What's up, party people? I didn't leave too long, but I almost got booted. And you know what? If I do get booted, I'm just throwing this out there. You had a great co-host last week. Meryl, you did a killer, amazing job. So had a lot of fun listening to you two. And yeah, I don't know. Fans, I think that you should convince them to get their own show. And it could be the...
Now, see, I told Meryl, I think you need to get your own show.
Oh, just Meryl soloing it.
I mean, not even if she's solo, but finding her guests. You know, she loves listening to the Sadie Robertson, whatever her last name is now, and she'll have these different guests on or whatever. And I'm like, babe, I think you could fit that perfectly. I mean, you talk, you hold the conversation. I mean, she held most of the conversation, which I didn't mind. She was like, I talk too much. I was like, no, it was the point. You're the guest. You came on. I wanted to hear your stories. I wanted to hear what you were thinking about. And then I just navigated in between on some of the things that we were trying to accomplish.
Sounds good, Meryl. I think you should do it. And I guarantee you your episode will probably be the most watched by far. So if that tells you anything, gives you a little boost, we'll see.
Yeah, let's see. Which I should probably maybe put some social media posts out there to allow people to understand, like, hey, you need to come listen to this and hear it.
It's not just the Ren and Stimpy show, or what do I call us? The
Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain show. Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy. Yeah. Okay. I see that. There we go. But we are. Oh, I don't know. I'm just here hanging out. A lot of fun. We're in the midst of Fight Club round. FC 414 we got here. We got Fight Club on the chest. We even got Fight Club hats. Holy moly.
Merch it up.
We didn't even plan this. And yeah, we got lots of Fight Club. So if you don't know, there are a bunch of dudes right now in the middle of Indiana and throughout the world, a few spots throughout the world, that are just trying to become better husbands, better fathers, better leaders, or at least being challenged to get there. Some are then taking on that challenge, and others are being challenged in some other ways that they may or may not grow in the ways that we would hope, but something's happening within their lives. And so we got Midway popping up here soon.
Yeah, 10-week program, boot camp for men, 18 and older, have an online group, and then in person is always better. But yeah, we do a big rally midway through the 10 weeks, and we do this like extreme obstacle course at this church grounds, and throw stuff, break stuff, burn stuff, build stuff, and do it no matter what, rain or shine, cold or hot, and it's always a good time. And just challenge guys where they're at, blindfold them, make them walk across ladders. I don't know what they're doing this time, but that's been you see if you want to swim across a little cold creek. I don't know what they have, but it's always fun, something fun to get out with the guys and sit around a big bonfire and talk about your feelings and cry. I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah, some do, that's for sure. But it's good to get in those emotions. So all these things we talk about on the show, of trying to adjust and challenge the way maybe men go about business and the way men think about things and everything else that kind of fits within that realm. That's part of it. Like, we get to see it firsthand at least twice a year. And then even in between time, I know Zap gets a bunch because he's built tons of relationships. And then, I get to see the same thing as trying to grow on coaching staffs and, other relational capacities that we've grown in. So it's neat. It's different.
Well, I'm excited to talk about today, and I'm going to start it off with a quote from an old friend, Mr. Buckalow. Might have to tag your daughter or son so you can see this. He was one of my high school best friend's dads. And anyway, he always told us, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And we always knew as 12 to 15-year-old youth that he was probably just making us not feel so bad that we didn't know a lot, and me and Mike weren't the sharpest tools in the shed, but we were really good athletes and we had a lot of friends and we loved just interacting with our people, whether that was through, church youth group or baseball teams or pool parties, just kind of running the little town we grew up in. But it was evident in his life, golfing, sports fan, just being just a stand-up guy, that relationships were really important to him. And so something that's always stuck with me. I know it's not unique to him, but so that's my little kickoff for you today.
Oh, that was great. Because what I'm going to do now is, before we dive into that,
It's all part of it. Brought to you by the Justin Masterson Show.
and I'll start by telling a friend of ours where he was planning on going to, I think it was a viewing. It was either the viewing or the funeral of an individual, and it turned out the individual was the family who lived next to them. So they were all dressed up. He and his wife ready to go, and I believe they either walked out the garage or pulled out of the garage and looked next door and saw that the vehicles of their neighbors were still there, which got them thinking, well, that's odd, because they should be there if we're going to it. Well, it turns out it wasn't the correct day.
Wrong day. Man, I've had that experience before.
Oh, of course. It's all part of it. And you have, what
I think today,
experienced one today?
I think today's Tuesday, but I woke up thinking it was Wednesday, and little slumbered, a little tired this morning. Slept in a little bit, and I thought I missed my morning meeting with you and some fine fellow gentlemen. But got my coffee, and I was embarrassed that I missed the meeting, and I was like, I'm just gonna sulk in it. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna get my day started the way I normally do, and then my wife was like, are you doing the podcast today? And I was like, yeah, well, that makes it Tuesday, not Wednesday. So, Jason, you're out there missing viewings that didn't happen. I'm missing meetings that didn't happen. So,
This is why we hang out together, because it's so much fun, because it is all part of it.
Oh, it's good.
It is. And so been doing some reading, because we like to read. We believe in that's the only way to, one of the many ways to gain wisdom and knowledge. I'll still take it back to my best friend's dad, who told us when we were little, number 2, the books that you read. So that wisdom and knowledge that you're willing to gain on your own, without just waiting for someone to tell you, what to do or how to do it or how to go about it. So seeking after that knowledge and wisdom. And sometimes it's not always right, but it's in the pursuit of finding it and then being able to talk about it, which leads to who are you going to talk to it about? And, so I came across an article, and it's going to kind of take us over these next couple episodes. The first part will set the stage, which is something that we've talked about. Of course, Zap already set the stage for it, but it's just what science tells us about fatherhood, marriage, and the struggles of young men. And like today, we're going to do a little 3-part. I'm going to read a little bit about what he said, and then, we'll kind of discuss some things of what we've seen, heard, understood. And in the end, it does. It takes us to relationships. We talked last week when Meryl was telling the story about the Gutwines and how incredible they've been in our lives, and one of many families that has been. And we each have those, hopefully. If we don't, then we're probably struggling with something, and we need to find those. And so I'll start off here. It says, males are struggling. I mean, that's no question that collectively you wouldn't see it. And I know, hey, we're trying to get the feminine voice out there has been the big push over the years. And it is great, to have an equality in things that come about it. Sorry, my mind froze because I was thinking of a conversation yesterday. It's probably not appropriate for the podcast because it will get me a lot of backlash, I imagine. So I'm not going to say it. Just make you wonder what I was going to say. And it's nothing bad. It's just the truth of what I was thinking. And it deals with female sports, which UConn demolished South Carolina, in case you're wondering, in the women's basketball championship. But
Not even close.
it wasn't even close. The men's was close, and it was nice. It was a fresh game, 4-1. But this is not, we're not sitting on that right now. Males are struggling. So according to a recent report, a concerning number of young men say they feel aimless and isolated. They're much more likely than females to be living at home and they're with mom and dad in their 20s and 30s. Girls are graduating at higher rates. We got in high school and in college. Now it's the same for both of those. But I want to hit on this a little bit where it said a concerning number of young men say they feel aimless and isolated. Now, personally, it would be tough for me to relate as a young individual to ever feel like I was aimless and isolated. I was highly loved. I talk about it all the time that my parents did a great job of making us feel loved and cared for and taken care of and all that we were doing. I always felt like I had purpose. I mean, honestly, from a young age, kindergarten, I wanted to play Major League Baseball and tell people about Jesus. And that thing has never wavered. And I don't know how or why, but my journey of baseball, probably because I continued to be good at it, that I kept playing. And then, of course, basketball came in. I wanted to play in the NBA for a little bit, too, when I was in 8th grade. But baseball just hit more. And so I got better at it quicker in the way things were going. And it was just fun. We played it in the backyard. Everyone had a good time with it. And so there was purpose there. But then who was I playing with? I think the final bit of that heavy three was that I had really awesome, good friends from kindergarten. I mean, it starts where I had my best bud Curtis down the street. And then even on that street, we had, Mark and Matt were right there. And then we had Chris, who was in a couple neighborhoods over, and still people that, I talked to at times a day. We had my guy Andy coming in. And then in high school, we had so many good people. So there was never this, all these dudes they're trying to be doctors and engineers and lawyers and extremely successful businessmen, and they've all been very successful at that. Mm-hmm. I'm just the athlete, the lone. We all were out playing sports together, and I'm the one who only stayed as an athlete in the scheme of it. But all that to say, it's hard for me because there's never, I don't feel aimless, never felt isolated. So when I hear that, I get it and I can appreciate it, but it doesn't fit as much for me.
Well, a lot of men do struggle. A lot of people do struggle with this big topic, this purpose, and this isolation. And it's, it is. It's, maybe you got some guys out there that are like, I've tried different things and I found your podcast and I was hoping you would tell me, well, today might be your day, guys. Today might be your day. Just hang tight. And I do think that the more distractions we get in life, there is a direct correlation, in my opinion. The more TV shows, Xbox, whatever gaming systems you like, the more tech in our hands, phones, iPads, it actually pushes, ironically, towards an isolation because it is not with people. So you can do those things with people. You can play chess online with people, and you can play chess in person with people. But you can't deny that there's a big difference between playing a board game or video game virtually versus in person. And it's those real things that you never get to touch and smell and taste. And I'm hungry and thirsty, and just doing life with those simple things that you feel lonely. We weren't created that way. This is man's creation. And so it's no wonder that we're the most interconnected society to ever walk the planet, and we're the loneliest.
Yeah, because as interconnected as we are, we're still extremely disconnected.
Yeah.
And if I were to reverse engineer kind of the three things that I talked about, if we're like, okay, we're feeling aimless, we're isolated, it makes sense. I see the divorce rate that is super high. And so it's like, oh, mom and dad don't love each other. Does that mean they can lose love for me? I would have to imagine that would be the case. The lack of ability to handle their emotions in general. Yelling and frustration. I was speaking with someone about the idea of the scare tactic, if you will, kind of the yelling and screaming to get people to do what you want type of idea, which I guess I talk a bit about when it comes to coaching and stuff. But it's on that verge of, that narcissism. And it's like, well, why do people do it? It's because it works. Mm-hmm. Like if I scare you into thinking that like something's going to happen or I'm going to do something to you, more or less, if you have decent children or ones who care, like they'll listen, especially if you ever follow through. But there's like this slight bit of mental manipulation that comes in. And it's like, okay, why did I do it that way? Because it worked. You got them to do the things. I might have been super passive aggressive when I was saying it. You know what? I don't do anything. I'll just take care of it all. And all of a sudden, what? All the kids did something, and yet they only did it because they're like trying to please. They're trying to like, okay, how do I keep the peace? How do I make it okay in here that there's no problems? And it works and it's effective, but there are issues with it. And so when we think about that, it's like, okay, I bet many of us have some sort of narcissistic parent in our life who have manipulated us in some way, shape, or form, which is why we take on that form. And so to like stop that becomes a challenge, especially when you could look at a picture and you could see, okay, this is where it started. Okay, this is who kept it going. This is who's trying to adjust it, slowly but surely. And these are the ones who will hopefully experience the freedom that comes from overcoming that. And that's a journey within itself. When we're trying to navigate these type of things. So it just makes sense, all that, of why there's aimlessness, and why people are feeling isolated, because if you hear things you don't like, you can go somewhere else. I mean, if it doesn't work, you're not doing it. We say it often, like houses are hotels. We're not actually connecting with the people around us. It's just a place for us to put our head down while we move to the next event, to the next thing, whether we got kids or not. Like we're still just moving. And so this is a problem that is going on. It's real.
Yeah, I mean, there's this idea of creation from God the Father. So if you believe in the creation story and that God created man and woman in his image, what's the Latin for that?
Imagio Deo.
Imagio Deo. Thank you.
Should ask the boys. I'm sure Luca.
That's true. Latin. It means that you, man or woman, were created to do things that actually matter. And so you can draw that conclusion, because why would a God create something for no purpose? And so you have a purpose because the God of the universe, who is obviously capable of doing amazing things, he can create planets that spin for eternity and create you and create the earth we live in and so on and so forth. So there's a purpose there. And so if you're created in his image, whatever likeness you want to talk about, emotional, spiritual, physical, it doesn't really matter. That creative power is in you. And so you have the ability to then create. And it doesn't mean that animals or other things in nature can't create, but you do have to see a difference between like a tree or some beautiful flowers, that they can create things in their power. They can reproduce, they can create flowers and nectar and things, fruit for trees and things, but they can't then imagine a world and draw some fantastical image out of their imagination. And if they did, but they couldn't do it, they can't then be like, hey, rose petal, why don't we come and make our own hybrid plant and just like magically, idea something. And so it doesn't mean that they don't have wonderful purpose and they're not, here for whatever they're here for, but you have this ability to create other things. And so there's this whole train of thought that would go, well, why was I created to do that? Why do I have the ability and other things don't? And so you just keep it really foundational, like you're set apart is the difference. And so when you think about that, you're not like, so we talk about in Fight Club, we talk about like, you're not, your problems are not unique, but you are unique. And so you were created uniquely and masterfully, and the ability to be very special and create things that I can't create. Justin's different than me, even though we have a lot in common and do a lot of the same things, like we're different and he can do things that I can't do and so on and so forth. And so you're unique, but your problems aren't unique. And if you have that in mind, you won't pull away when you have a problem. Because if we think like, oh man, nobody deals with this, I'm going to go lick my wounds and like deal with my own problems.
Right.
It's isolation. It's independence. And if we think about it like, hey, can anyone else help me? Can anyone else help me in my problems? Because I imagine in my sphere of influence that there's someone else that's gone through this. It's not that unique. And if no one has, go out another level of relationships till you can find someone to help you.
And even if it is super unique, you'll find that somebody else is going through this. Like when we find my wife is dealing with lupus, and then you start talking, you're like, oh, that person, and then this person, and then this person, and that person. And then, one of the tough things that, many women have to go through, a miscarriage, which is the family difficulty of that. You're like, oh, it seems like it's like, oh, that person, that person, that person. There are others, and it still doesn't take away always the pain in those things, but it's not something that only you have gone through.
Yeah.
I mean, Meryl will always crack me up when she's like, oh, somebody else struggles with this too. And before it was like she'd get really excited because, in my opinion, she'd get excited because someone else is having pain also. But she's grown in the fact of like, no, it's not because I want others to suffer too. Now it's like, oh, like maybe I can be helpful, or maybe they can speak something into my life so that we can actually be encouragements to each other. Where that idea that maybe she didn't know how to say it before, but it's like, oh, I felt alone, like no one would understand how I feel. And yet, someone else has gone through this. And they may be different in how they go about and how they think, and yet somehow they still kind of have the same feelings and thoughts when they go through that. And it can be very encouraging for people. I go, but so you said something about the Imagio Dei. Mm-hmm. So if we're talking about made in God's image, and so you matter, you have purpose, like you're here, for a reason, impact lives in a positive way, to be an example, to show the love of Christ to those around us. But it's, set apart. It's also difficult. But when I'm in church, man, all the time they just be telling me how bad I am. So how do I, like when I think about it in the coaching world, I would never set up, like if you came into lessons, like my first thing is not going to be like, Zap, like you're so bad. I need you to understand how bad you are so that you will listen to me. Like I get it. It's like what I was talking about before. If we're trying to manipulate people, like that works because I want you to do what I do. Now, I know that you're struggling and you're missing out on some things, but I don't think you're bad. Because if I thought you were bad, I'm not going to work with you. You know what I'm saying?
I will say you are broaching morally good and bad, which a church would say, and you're talking about also performance good and bad. But I'm with you in the analogy. It's not that far to connect the dots.
Right, but see, that's the thing. You have to take your mind, like you're mentally going morally good or bad, this good or bad.
Yeah.
And so, but to the regular person who's doing these, those all fit in. Like if I tell you your performance is bad, you're going to think I'm a bad person, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, good
so
point.
Yours is a good point also, but like that's what's coming in. So I'm saying majority of people are just popping all this together. And when we're trying to describe it, we're not really separating it to say anything different.
Yeah. So you remember, okay, go back to the creation part. So once they were created, they were set in a garden, whether again, metaphorically, real, tangible vegetables, it's irrelevant. They were put in a place, and then God said, I need you to take care of it. So I need you to work. I need you to tend to the garden. Okay, so go back to this origination story. There's real work that he asked them to do, and define that how you want. But there was some production that needed to take place, some tending to the garden. So if you think about that, you're given an instruction from your coach, your parent, your God, and you don't do it. So we just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. I didn't go home and do your baseball throwing drills, and I didn't practice where my hands should be, or like
there it is.
Yeah.
Coach Hutchin.
I didn't tend the garden. I didn't protect the people that were in the garden, i.e. Adam let Eve interact with the snake, so on, so forth. So are you now bad because you didn't do what the person asked you to do?
Are you?
Okay. Because
when my kid doesn't listen to me, do I think he's bad?
Right.
I think he didn't pay attention. I think he didn't listen. I think he had something else going on. I'm not going to make an excuse for him. I go, he did not perform the way that I asked. So it doesn't make me think he's bad. It makes me think he needs to learn.
Yeah. And
he's growing. He's immature.
And he might have forgotten the purpose of what he was asked to do. And if you go generation to generation to generation, and you skip down all the way through, you're talking about the church aspect. But we don't have these things on the tip of my tongue. Every morning when I wake up, I'm like, what did God tell Adam to do? Because I want to do that. Like, we're just focused on what we are doing. And sure, some of it could be good things that our purpose for the day is to do. But we're very much farther along than, look, there's a fence that's down and my cattle are escaping. I need to go fix the fence. Like, that's really obvious if I was tending the ranch or this farm or this whatever, right? So you think in these terms of, what am I here to do? Well, if you are not doing what you're here to do, then therefore you're going to think you're bad. Someone else is going to view you as errant. You're wrong. And then here we go down a path of isolation. This is my point, because we feel negative thoughts about our purpose. And innately, I don't want to get too weird on the whole what you were born, who's our best bud, Daron. Like, we're all here for a purpose, and
for purpose, on purpose, for a purpose.
Like, yeah, Daron Earlewine. If you want to check out his stuff, we totally support him. He's amazing. But if you hear you were here for a purpose and you don't know your purpose, doesn't that make you feel like a big hole in your stomach or heart?
Right. Everyone else knows, but I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, and then you go down. Well, if everybody else knows their purpose, and I don't know mine. Again, I'm gonna go to isolation mode. I'm going to go to anti mode. I'm going to turn away from relationships because you know what you're doing. And then it takes some maturity to go back to the person and be like, Daron, I don't know my purpose. Can you help me? Justin, you seem to be on purpose things. Can you help me? That takes a bigger, mature, emotional capacity person that you talk about. So I don't want to put things in such a metaphorical, easy to say way, because people are going to be like, oh, well, I'm out. I don't know my purpose, and you do. But if you lean into it and you're like, what's my purpose in blank? And you break it down to the kind of the origination. Well, why'd you start it? Why are you doing it? Why are you married?
Right.
Why, really, why are you married? I don't want to go too far into this, but why are you married? Mm-hmm. People are like, because I love the person. That's not why you're married. I don't believe that. You can love 1,000 people. Well, it's the one person I want to commit my life to. Okay, great. What do you want to commit to? What do you want to do with the person? Like, why do you want to do things different? Well, I wanted to have a family. Okay, boom. That's why you got married? You can have a family without getting married, but you decided you wanted to get married to have a family. Like, go to the purpose that you originally set it out to do, and then discover the what ifs and the whys, and you just keep asking those questions, and it becomes pretty simple. I think is my point is trying to make.
In the end, yes. In the end, and if I'll take it back one little bit, because you went around and I liked it. It was great. But this whole idea of because you didn't do what was asked of you, does that make you bad? Mm-hmm. And I would say that the one part you skipped is when God made them, right, and put them in a garden, and he asked them to tend it. But before that, he said it is good.
Mm. He didn't say that it was kind of good and he needs to work on it a little bit more?
Nope. No, he's a God who knows when enough is enough, and said it is good. And so in this whole scheme of things, even if we were trying to get back, so say you're high religious background, which probably many of our listeners are, trying to get back, like, well, why would I get back to me being not good? As many people have tried to tell me, like, I got to remember how bad I am in order to move forward. Whereas no, it's like, no, oh, God made you to be good. Like he put great things in you. Now there's a part of you that this part of you that wants to, like, that doesn't listen. It doesn't
wants to rebel.
Wants to rebel. And so when we're living out who we are to be, there is goodness in that. And when we're not, then the goodness isn't there. And of course, if you want to, you can check out Daron Earlewine. He's got a spiritual DNA thing that kind of helps you figure it out. He may have changed the name of it, but that's what it used to be called. And then we got our guys, Wayfinders. Right up there. Wayfinders, activate your purpose. And they have a life mapping that just helps you understand what God's put in you. Like, what do you like? What are the things that are already within you that you enjoy doing, that you appreciate, and some you maybe haven't thought about? And so when you have these frameworks and things that help you to just think through, they ask questions, help you to understand some stuff about who you are, what you enjoy doing, because all those things are not bad. Now, there are some bad things that we do, but all the things that are put within us and the drives that are within us are not all bad. Like, not every single person is going to have a heart for men's ministry. Now, many men will have a piece of that, and then they join on, but they might have some other things. And so it's just, those are the ways that we can help start to try and help people get away from feeling aimless and isolated. Because, they offer some solutions where, boys should start kindergarten. This is the scientific. Boys should start kindergarten a year later than girls so they can catch up. And, we need more male teachers in schools, which, it's great. There's role models and stuff like that, because many of the style is suited more for the female learners rather than the boy learners, who maybe, if you don't have the right teacher, which, shout out to, like, my people at Thorpe Creek Elementary, where so many great female teachers who have learned how to deal with young boys. And some people would see a little bit of chaos in some of those rooms, but they're willing to allow some of those boys to be able to move and groove, and yet still, like, reel them in when the time is right. And for some of it, which we got a few guys, high school boys, where college degree is not the only path. More and more got some trades where trades have been lost a little bit. Got a few boys who are going the trade route, and there's no stigma in it. There kind of is for some people, but there's no stigma in that. But so to get to the heart of why men report that they are aimless, it's a question we kind of already talked about, but the article asks it. It's important to ask the question, what is it that makes life meaningful? And he would say it's a tricky question because concepts such as meaning, satisfaction, happiness are often defined differently by different experts. But it made me wonder, like, what makes life meaningful? Are there universal things, like the desire to be wanted or needed, whether we think we want that or not? The desire to be loved and respected, as we've talked about. Or the desire to be seen and yet still wanted in the midst of that. It's a big question. What makes life meaningful? And I think you hit a lot on that.
Well, I was trying to show that you can get get to that answer and not have the full answer, because we all do have a purpose. And then if you really want to, dive on this subject, I did a study on men that don't, what is my micro purpose in life? If I can help define your macro purpose, I think you said for you, it was like being a positive impact on people.
lives in a positive way.
Yeah. So that's your big purpose. And then how you go about that might be your micro purpose. So my big mission in life might be slightly different than yours, but God gave us all kind of a commandment or a purpose. Like, why are we here? People want to make this question to be like really scientific or mathematically difficult to understand. And I just don't think it is. I mean, we're here to love people and love God. And if you don't believe in God, then you're here to love people and love the things around you, earth, I don't know, whatever's clever in your mind of nature, I guess. But God commanded us that through Jesus, love God and love others. And so if you think about okay, well, how do I do that? So, granularly, I'm going to do that through my family. I'm going to do that through raising my children with the ethos that I want to instill in them. I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And so I want to provide a working environment that is safe and productive and helpful to the people that work at my company. That's a micro purpose going back to the big purpose. And then you can have these things in all sorts of different levels. Like, I've got a purpose for sports. I've got a purpose for food. I've got a purpose for the way I live in my neighborhood, around my neighbors and in my ministry and so on and so forth. So you can do a whole doctrinal dissertation on this, or you can just keep it really simple. And I like how you say, keeping the main thing is really important. And I mean, right, we just talked about this last night with my boys, but somebody said, you can trust a brother, right? And they're like, and Emily was like, blood runs thicker than, I don't know,
thicker than water.
I don't know. It was like but like blood brothers. You're like, yeah, you can trust me. You can trust me. And then this other guy in the room was like, sometimes. And I was like, yeah, I mean, Cain and Abel. Does anybody remember Jacob
story?
And
Esau?
Esau. It's like the two giant brother stories turned on each other and basically, Cain literally killed his brother. So we have this idea of I want to believe that things are just simple, and my brother would never turn on me, and I love him for life, and we're just so tight. And then when things that are really foundational start to crack, it cracks our whole mentality and our foundation. And I think that starts to break people's purpose in life down very quickly. You had a close relative die. You had the significant trauma happen to you as a child. And it just starts to break down your purpose and why you're here, because you can't connect those back anymore. There's something really broke. And I get it. Mm-hmm. It's happened to so many of us, and I get it. And I can feel why it doesn't add up when you're trying to just, Justin, you had all the success and it's just easy for you because, you were a Major League Baseball player and, I'm not. And I understand why it sounds like we're on the mic and it's easy for us to say these things, but we have real trauma things too, but our foundation is strong in that big macro purpose, and it lets us go to the micro purpose easily. Does that help?
Yeah, I think it does. What I'm hearing as you're saying is there's a peace within that. I think people are without a peace collectively when we're not totally sure what's happening. But if we get this macro idea of what it is, okay, God created us, we're good. He wants to have a relationship with us. And ultimately, if anything, we're supposed to be good stewards of the people around us, compassionate, kind, loving. So if that's the initial bit, he wants a relationship with us, but even if we're doing that, it's okay, that there's a peace within there, It's like, yeah, but what am I doing? And some of that comes down to the ego. Like that's the word that came in when you're like, well, can you trust a brother? Like they're fighting for that birthright, the first thing, the whatever. Oh, yours is better than mine. I'm going to make mine better than yours. And we'll have that in playful competition, but it doesn't define who we are. Because ultimately, I want you to be the best. You want me to be the best. And as we're going together with that, like then we keep pushing each other up along the way, just like it is in a marriage. Like I want my wife to succeed. You know, she wants me to succeed. So if we keep pushing each other up along the way, like how can bad things happen within? I mean, bad things will happen, but how can it be not helpful for the two of us? You know, as we go about this. And so you have this big one. You're like, yeah, but what am I doing? Okay, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What does your heart break for? What do you enjoy? What do you want to try and do? And it does become hard when it's like, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's not working out.
Yeah, that's okay.
Like that's when it becomes really hard. But the piece of the overall bit of it, okay, you went about it the right way. This isn't working right now. So let's go to something else.
Or God made you really tough to keep grinding on it. You know, because a lot of people aren't.
Keep grinding, or the ego. This is where the ego clicks in a little bit too. As you go, yeah, but like I'm doing this and I don't mind it, but it's not as it doesn't put me in front of enough people. It doesn't, when I step into a room, people look at me and elevate me. We may not say those exact words, but I think subtly it's like, oh, you do this? And then, oh, I don't want to tell anybody what I do. It's like, but don't you kind of enjoy what you're doing? Well, I do. Well, then just take ownership of it. Like, stop worrying about it. Like, oh, you just are a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad. And it just seems to devalue it. Like, no. Like, there are great things, and you don't have to, like, prove it to everyone. Well, didn't you know that I did this, and I went here, and I had to do this, and I did this? Awesome. Like, yes, those are great things, but you're still trying to justify everything in your own mind. Just enjoy what's in front of you. Just know that, one, you are loved, you are cared for, and now that gives you the freedom to do what? To figure out what's enjoyable, and then go and impact lives within that. And so all of this, what hinders on what exactly you started the whole podcast out with. And we'll say, if there's anything that sociological or psychological, science has taught us, wrong one, it's that relationships. This is not just me saying this. This is not even just Christian perspective. This dude's coming from science. I don't even know if he's a believer. Relationships are the most important factor to leading a good life. You got this professor who said, other people are the best antidote to the downs of life and the single most reliable up. And likewise, this Harvard psychiatrist said, who directed the longest running study on adult happiness for 30 years, he concluded that the only thing that really matters in life are your relationships to other people. And I'm not going to go through it right now, maybe at some other time, but we have this tool that we like to use called the capitals. And it has 5 capitals. And you got, spiritual, relational, physical, I always get lost. Financial, and there's one more that...
one of them.
Did I say physical?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's one more that I get lost in. But this idea is that, one, so many people get what? They just feed into one of those. And maybe that's the financial. And so what do they use? Use every other capital in order to satisfy that one. And yet the value of it is spiritual will be the highest, and the second would be relationship, that relational capital. And yet so often we use those relationships to get the other things instead of using the other things to build into those relationships. And so if we can find that somebody else, not even just in our biblical Christian perspective, that the only thing that really matters in life are your relationships to other people. Now, of course, we know the relationship with God is the greatest of whatever, but if we're here physically and we know that these work, well, then we use the capitals of things in our life to what? Try and continue to build and foster those relationships. And so that might be, you gotta be willing to look like a fool to be with people. You might have to put yourself out there. Like, I don't have any friends. I stink at making friends. And it's like, well, it's probably because you're not willing to step out and make some sacrifices in your life to see what else. yeah, well, then they just step on me. It's like, well, then there's some other issues in there of some self-confidence and understanding who you are as you build this. And then you can speak your opinions and what you understand to be out there. Because it can be difficult. But if you really want it, it's like, wow, like maybe you would adjust your job in order to give you time to hang out with your family and other people. Maybe you'd take on something that would then allow you to spend more time. Because sometimes we got to force it. I mean, this podcast, we keep it going. People are listening or not, but it is one day a week where we spend some time together. I'm not saying that's the only reason we do it, but there is a big reason of like, yeah, we like to spend time. We have busy schedules, and this forces us to be able to come together. We put it on our calendar. We're like, this is valuable enough that it is having an impact, but then it brings us together. And what other things are there? Like I'm on a coaching staff where it intentionally allows me to be with people. I did summer team where I don't really want to play all these games, but it's allowing me to intentionally be with certain people. And it's hard at times, but it is well worth the sacrifice.
Time is the fifth capital, and that's the one you're trading. We got reminded Monday, if you're on the Lead the Week email from Fair Warrior about time, and you have only so much to trade for what you want. Sleep, relationships, money, all of those things are all traded for the amount of time you're willing to put in it. And so I challenge you to go trade in some time for relationships. And if it's going to cost you some money, if it's going to cost you some ego, if it's going to cost you some heartbreak, because not all relationships work. I'm talking about just friend relationships hurt. People hurt people, and hurt people hurt people.
Yes, they do.
So, it's going to take some risk, and most likely that person is eventually going to let you down or die. And so just the reality of that makes it a little dismal, but I promise it is worth it. And in the end, what else are we here for? And so, hey, here's the good friends.
Ooh, yes. And I'll finish with this. Take a moment, take some time to spend some time with a young adult in your circle. Actually, maybe if you're not old, spend it with an old person in your circle who needs it. But take some time to see if you can get with somebody intentionally. And maybe that's just your kids. Maybe you don't spend intentional time with your kids, and it might start with them, where you can do something intentional. Be where they're at. Be around them, not get frustrated and like, well, they're just up in their room doing this. Go say a little quick hello. Sit, but don't look for that most meaningful conversation that's going to come. Just let them know that they're seen and heard. And I bet by you going there and not looking for anything out of it, it will also boost you in the way that it goes, so that we can give some love and feel some love in the same ways. And use those capitals, and we'll talk more about that another day, but use those capitals to invest in those relationships. Well,
that's it. Masty at thejustinmastersonshow.live if you want to give us some feedback and get a free t-shirt.
Please do. On behalf of myself, Mr. Justin Masterson, and my good fella, Mr. Matthew Zappasodi. See you next time.
Peace.